So if you're here, I know that you love Nyabo Anse shenanigans. Yes, and that's what we're gonna talk about. You know? So my good people, Gintu came out finally and he updated us on what is happening, what has happened, and explaining it the whole details so that you may be able to be in a position to understand what is going on, and even going back to 2024 and what has been happening and now what is happening. And I can tell you, some of you are involved, yes. So I want us to watch these clips and then I'll be back to do more analysis.
And which is now causing much of the disgracement. And there is already something called ego, like I am a bigger brother, so I cannot listen to what my smaller brother is talking about, and which is now causing much of the problem. Right now, this is a 21st century. Everybody is looking very straightforward, talk about this, what I'm going to be doing. And the real fact is we never went to anybody fighting. It's only this kind of the people started engaging to us. What am I saying here? When Murimi passed me with a motorbike, if I could be with a problem, Murimi could start fighting with me. If I was a problem, Murimi could talk about Gintu, you're the one who is coming here to cause this kind of the problem. But I told him, I'm here to farm the land. And what I'm going to be farming, it's your family to eat. Whereby your mother and your father are going to be eating from the same thing. Because I'm going to be farming to make sure that Anesto is not out of time, because we are going with the season. And he wants to plant, and the season right now, people have planted. And now, if I'm a part of the program, you sort out your issues, you and your brother and your father. Me, leave me aside, because what I'm doing here, I'm plowing, and this is the work that is there, because I am there, because I have to get a share from it, because the tractor, I have a share from it. And that is it. And that is what I have to do. Then I saw the fight. So when this kind of the fight was there, then I went and talked about, no, this is a bullshit you're doing here. So you just go apart, you go apart. And I took up Murimi one-on-one, and I brought him back to his home. And I told him, now, if you come back there, it will be you are having a problem. And Ernesto, I told him, please, can you go back? Because I was the one trying to make sure that this kind of the boy is going to be not fighting. If it was, some of the people think about, I was there to insinuate or incite. I went there for a job, and I was called for a job of plowing to make sure that Ernesto is part of the system. And if Ernesto has to plow that kind of the land or farm it, it's not my money, it's his money. So if I could not be called to farm, there's another person of another tractor will be called to go on the farm. So this is a business like other businesses, and I'm running them. And one thing that I'm not interested about, and also whenever it comes, it's where Murimi, I told him, please, can you sort out your problems? The father came, I told him, this is just something that we can sort it out immediately, right now. And the father said, yes, we can do it. But again, he was confused with Marwa, whereby he was told, no, you just come, make sure that you are defending with Murimi. Murimi is very correct and right. It's because of the road that they understand, again, it's going to be blocked. And if Ernesto is going to be blocking that road, it will be done. And they understand it. So they are fighting to talk about Gintu is part of the program. I went there for farming. And I was asking also Ernesto, why are you closing this kind of the road? And what about the sponsor who had been sponsoring this kind of the fencing? What is she or he going to be thinking of you? Ernesto said he is apologizing to make sure that whatever going to be coming out is he is trying to put a fence where relevant. I village using Murimi to make sure that they're going to be fighting his family members. He has fought with the uncle. He has arrested the uncle. He's now fighting with, he has fought with the mother, and including there's a construction that was there. The mother was placed there to make sure that accountability will be there. Murimi started fighting the mother. And again, Anesto. And again, the father, sometimes fighting up to Mayani. So it's one thing that it's there, like he is being set up to go and fight the people from his village, which is not a good character if it's portrayed outside here. And the man is coming now to incite, talk about, it's Gintu. He understands who I am. And I'm not a fearful person. And when he called this kind of the corrupt officers from what's the issue between Murimi and Ernesto? Murimi has sold the whole of the land. And now he's eyeing jealously, like where Ernesto and the young boy, who is a young sibling called Gitangita, they have still a land which is not yet sold. And he's now eyeing for it, because there was a rumble when he wanted to construct his house. He started talking about, my father never gave me the portion that I deserve. And I need the portion to be squeezed to Anesto's land to make sure that I'm getting the portion. Anesto refused. The rumble and the dispute started from there. There is something which is not yet solved, because when the fence was being placed, I remember Chris the Great asked the father, asked the mother, sat down with the family, asked them, tell me where your land reaches, and I want to place this land fence. So what is Murimi complicating for is fighting this kind of the boy because of the land. Because right now he doesn't have a land. Already has sold another land to the Conrad. you can come to the real realization why Marwa is part of the program, because they are definitely telling this kind of the boy, telling him out, giving him much of the rudeness to come and react with other people, because he is losing it. He doesn't have a land. He has got a sponsor. That sponsor is getting. She was also my sponsor. I understand her. And they're ever calling her. They're ever calling her. There's a time also she sent me much of the barrels coming to here and giving out to much of the people. She ever gave me one of a wheelchair, and they gave out to the vulnerable of that kind of the village. Is liquor. Out of 800 men, it's only the ones who are not drinking. They're not drinking alcohol. Things to come out clearly. And the real facts, I was part of the program to make sure they're going to be getting that kind of a ban from the USA, because he's a very big molester. That's
Thank you, man, for watching. If you are here, then I say thank you. So anyway, guys, Gintu came out and explained what has been happening. And of course, if you have been a follower of Nyabo Anse and their shenanigans, you already know all these stories. And honestly, okay, there is something that I wanted to say, but I know it'll offend some of you. I want to look at Gintu's comment section. What are people telling him, by the way? That's what I want to understand. What is being told? Is he being encouraged to continue? Are the subscribers entertained? Are they mad? Or are we talking of the toxic loyalists? Okay, Gintu, you're fearless. You stood on the ground. Okay, this was one of the comments by one of the subscribers. Okay, someone needs good job. Thank you, Gintu. If you are not there, things could be worse. Yeah, by the way, that's true. Things could be worse because you can imagine this guy, Anestos, wasn't expecting a scenario like that. And then all of a sudden, you see the way motorbike past Gintu, and then it stops like immediately, and then he grabs Anestos and starts beating him, punches left, right, center. Imagine Anestos got hurt. And it's really sad on my side to say that I have come to understand that Murimi doesn't have any land. He has sold all his parcel of lands that he has ever owned. And at the moment, he's at zero. It's a family thing, guys. And they came out and put it out on YouTube streets, and that is why we are talking about it. Else, we couldn't be talking about it. So, after I learned that Murimu doesn't have any land, then I started asking myself, why was he fighting the younger brother Anestos? Because that does not make sense at all. Anestos, on the other hand, by yesterday when I was doing my analysis, I didn't know into details that the land belonged to Anestos, and that, on the issue of the road, anyway, at the end of the day, if you own a land, you have the right to, do whatever you want to, as long as you are within the law. And for him to want to, just move a little bit further, fence, the boundary, that was okay. But then my question is, when he was setting up the boundary the first time, the first day, that moment, that was the right time to do the proper boundary. Not now that there is a road that a car could pass. Now he wasn't thinking about closing the entire road, but just a small, like just going a little bit further, and then he wanted to have a space of, where the brothers could be passing with their motorbikes or walking, I mean, that was his idea, because for him, he believed that it was unfair that he was the only one providing the size of the road and not the other person that owns the land. So which is fair anyway, because even if it was you, would have thought of the same thing, right? And it was extremely wrong for Murimo to come in and start fighting Anestos just because he was trying to do that. Like, I mean, this guy, I believe, like 100% he was drunk. Because what business do I have with my brothers or my sister's land if they're doing whatever they want to do? And remember, you haven't even sat down to ask, like, what is happening. It's like, the way the brother came, it was like he had been called and he was told, hello, Murimi, You know what? I am seeing that your brother is pulling down the fence. And then the brother takes the border straight to where Anestos is and punches, hurting your own brother, your blood brother, because they share the same mother. And at this point, honestly, education is very important because with education, you are able to understand even the little information about even family, about the environment, about everything. Because if according to Gintu, what he's saying is that there is a subscriber that is inciting Murimi, and it's very unfair if it's true. That's an allegation. You add it in these particular videos that we played, and I can tell you that it's very unfair. Whoever is doing that, I mean, people have all the time to sit down and follow up on stories detail by detail. You call people, you ask them about things that doesn't even concern you. You tend to tell them what to do, what not to tell. I mean, you plan them. And I mean, some people will even end up like, just listening to you because probably they are getting something, but inside their hearts, like they know, like, man, why are you doing this to me? I just don't like it. It's only that they can't speak up. But anyway, Ginto has explained to us like a lot of things are happening behind the scenes from what he is explaining about. Of course, the issue to do with him and Marwa, and when a time comes when they'll just sit down and handle their own things, then we shall say, Hallelujah, thank you, God, for at least, sitting down these two men together because, they're villagers at the end of the day and they need to be in peace, at peace. They are neighbors. If Gintu throws a stone on the other side, it's going to Marwa's land. What else can you wish them? But we just want the best and reconciliation for them. Otherwise, this throwing of words is not going to help anybody at the end of the day. And Gintu is a daring person, extremely daring. Number two is very huge, tall. He goes to the gym, is very strong. So like he has the confidence like 100 over 100. So who will fight with somebody like him? Even me, I won't fight, by the way. If I meet with him, I'll rather just keep quiet. That's why when we're doing these videos, we are not getting that personal because we don't want to get to involve in ourselves with, in a funny situation whereby we'll end up being enemies for nothing. No, that's not what we want. We just want to create videos and, peace continues. So, guys, there is something that this particular guy told us that is now Gintu. He talked about ego because what he was emphasizing to Anesto is that this is a family issue. Go and sit down and talk as a family and then find a solution because it is easier to actually talk as a family rather than calling the entire community and then you sit down and start talking about solving your issues here and there. Which one is better anyway at the end of the day? But the main problem here is ego that exists within the family. Nobody wants to listen to another person because Maureen is like, what? Me listening to my brother? No, that can't happen and it will never happen. You are a younger brother. You have nothing to tell me. And that's just African. And honestly, if you see Ernesto, is somebody that wants a better future. Is somebody that doesn't want to sell his own properties. At least he has an inherited land. And the best that he wants to do is to do a proper construction or just have a home there. That will be the best thing because at the end of the day, the parents will not be manipulated to sell the land because as it is, according to Gintu, the father is being advised by Morini to sell the land. And on the other hand, Ernesto doesn't want the land to be sold. And I support Ernesto like 100% and one or even 1,000,000% because he knows that by not selling the land, he will be at least securing his future of having a home. And he will never think about renting because renting is very stressful. Because even if you work, anything could happen at any moment. You never know. Anything could happen. And if anything happens, what is the plan? What's your backup plan? So ego is one of the characters that exists within the family, and also the instability of the parents to talk while sober, while while they are sober. 24/7 they are drunk. Like how can you have a conversation with a drunk person and then you expect them to come up with a sober conversation? That will never happen. Somebody who talks while they are not sober. I mean, there is nothing meaningful that can come out of that, because the moment alcohol is finished, then you'll be like, did I do that? No, I did not sell my land. Nothing like this happened. And then there are shown papers. You signed here. When you get the shock of your life, hey, that's what happens anyway. So the main reason as to why Gintu was around that area when the fight happened between the two brothers is that he had been called, because Ginto does a lot of businesses in the village, right? And one of them is hiring the tractors to go plow or till the villagers' lands. And then me, I don't know how much it is there, but most part of the country, okay, where I've experienced in some few places, if you plow 1 hectare of land, like you pay around 4,000 for the fuel, and then 4,000 per hectare or acre. So that is, if you have 2 acres, that will be 8,000. If you have three, that will be 12,000. If you have four, 24K. So guys, for him, he does that business, and Anesto being his friend, he felt like he was the best person to hire. He hires the tractor from Ginto, brings the tractor doing his job. I know that sounds funny because anyway, I know you will ask, like, okay, Ginto was hired. They had the tractor, and the tractor had a driver. Was it really a must for him to be there? Okay, you have the right to question that. But again, he's a content creator and he needs to do his content that Anesto has hired him, and also, he's aware of these shenanigans happening behind the scenes. And remember, Anesto is doing his own, is doing the work on his own. So anyway, we can't really blame Ginto at the end of the day, according to his narration. So honestly, if you heard what he was saying, is that the boundary would have been put at the appropriate place where it should have been put even. But now my question still comes, why now? When you were sponsored to put that boundary, you could have done the proper boundary then, instead of putting up now and then. But again, it's his land. He has the right to do whatever he wants to do. And so the fact that Morimi has already sold his entire piece of land, and he no longer has any other piece of land that he can be proud of as a young man, I know these issues will never end. He will forever be disturbing the brothers, the younger brothers, that is Anesto. And Getangita is still in high school. I think he will be finishing soon, or probably he has finished. I mean, it's been long since I actually saw him. Anyway, Ginto allegedly said that there's an allegation that he came up with, that Ayamarwa is sending some of his workers to go attack him with a machete. I mean, that is so bad. But again, we don't know if it's true. But if it's true, then that is like you are threatening to kill somebody. But again, Ginto is a storyteller. He can tell you even things that are not there. Unless he then films these people having these machetes, or one of them comes out and says that Mara told me this and that, then we can start having a conversation about that, right? Anyway, I was shocked. I was literally shocked when Ginto said that he was part of the people that ensured that Mara was denied a visa, US visa specifically. I remember when Mara got this news that he had been denied a visa, it was very devastating. It was very sad, honestly. And also the subs were extremely sad about the news, because remember, American visa is one of the strongest visa in the world. If you can manage to go to America and do some stuffs, then there is nowhere else that you can't manage. So I hope you get the essence of the American visa. And that is why he was so frustrated, hungry about the whole situation. And now in 2026, Gintu is telling us that, man, I was part of the people that was used to make sure that Marwa's visa is denied because of these allegations that even they're not proven. So, I mean, getting a neighbor like Gintu, oh man, how would you have lived? People who are like, I don't want problem, I don't want peace, I want problems only. That is the kind of person who get into is the character. He's somebody who likes just chaos and he doesn't fear about it. So after having a clear understanding of the entire situation, then who are we to judge? Except to tell Marwa that, man, you are big. Just start traveling. You are known to be a commander, a travel commando. Why will you involve yourself in this village shenanigans? Now people will start calling you the village fighter, like the way Gintu is trying to bring out that narrative. So you should just start going out, traveling. You should start showing us the world, and we will appreciate, because, of course, not many of us are able to travel the world like physically. We travel the world through other people that travel, or through the lenses of the likes of Marwa and Ichi Boots and so many other people. So I don't know what you think about this situation, because it's a family thing. It's a family issue, a family situation that has so many people in it, and the family is not strong enough to stand by itself and sort out and solve the situation by themselves. So it's difficult. And the young man Anestos needs support. He really needs support. Otherwise, this land will be sold. I don't know to who. It can be sold to anybody in Kenya, in Africa, in the world. But of course, according to Gintu, it's a congrats to that family that owns the land. So that's according to him. We don't know. But of course, there are so many pieces of land, not only in Kenya, but in Nyabo Anse. So I know. Anyway, thank you so much, guys. If you watched the clip up to this point, I appreciate your presence. Thank you. I'll see you.